Hey, Peter, thank you so much for being here today. We're super excited to get to interview you. I would love if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, yeah, thank you so much for having me. My name is Peter Loucks. I just self-published my first book, Crackery, Food Detective: The Case of the Misplaced Pipe, Peppercorn Pipe, rather. And yeah, I'm a former advertising copywriter, current recruiter for Wawa, and now an author. And hopefully everybody hears this and wants to read the book.
Love it. I would love if you could tell us more about your book and what it's about.
For sure. So Graham Crackery, he's a food detective in Kitchen Town. The book is a very punny. Uh, I don't want to say kids book. It's for everybody, but it's very punny, silly detective story about Graham Crackery, his adventures in Kitchen Town, like I said, and all the different characters he meets, from the mayor, who is Mayor Nays, Jordan Nays. He has Marsha Mallow, his love, and then anybody else that's in the story, all pun related food names.
Love that. What inspired you to write your book?
It came out of an inside joke. I was just kind of joking one day about graham crackers and how wouldn't it be funny if there was a detective graham crackery, and then just from there it built. And I've been writing the book for about 5 years. There's several iterations that have come out, or that I had written, and then finally this is the final published piece. I love puns. I love jokes. I love silliness, and they always say write what you know, and I know goofy things, and I wanted to put something that was really fun for everybody out there and just something to enjoy, something that's pure entertainment, a lot of laughter.
Love that. When writing your book, who were you thinking of when it comes to who your book is for?
That had gone through a couple different ideas. The original Graham Crackery was a lot more of an adult book. It was grittier. I sent it to an editor, and they were like, "Yeah, if you want this to be read by anybody, you can't write this book." And then, I just infused a lot of silliness to it, kind of removed a lot of it, and really leaned into the world of Kitchen Town. I think that note really helped me understand what this book is and who it's for. And I think it's for everybody. I think if kids will like it, adults will appreciate the tongue-in-cheek humor. Anybody that loves puns, anybody that loves a fun detective story, that's who I was really aiming for. And they say write something that you would enjoy, and this is something. My brother read the book, thankfully, and he goes, "This is just you. This book is just, if I could combine you in a book, this is something totally you." So I think it was just, I hope people appreciate it for its silliness, and I think that's really what it boils down to.
Amazing. Love that. How long have you been writing and what made you really start?
I've been writing, I'd probably say since I was a kid, not really realizing that that's what I wanted to do. I would write short stories as a kid, and then over the last, I'd say 10, 15 years, I had just been developing my voice, learning what I want to write, how I want to write. A lot of bad short stories came out of that, but it also helped me kind of mold into who I am as a writer, what I want to write about, and just being able to say I'm an author, I'm a writer. That's a big deal. I think that was important. I think when I got into advertising and I was able to change my LinkedIn profile to copywriter, it was like a source of pride. But then I realized how much more I wanted the writer aspect versus copywriter.
Love that. What is your schedule like when you are writing a book?
Hectic, crazy. um, it's not possible to have a schedule. I believe certain writers. I've always been impressed by writers who can just sit down and do it. Um, for me, my schedule is whenever inspiration hits, I attack it. If I'll go through periods of writer's block that are just aggressively difficult, and there's nothing you can do about it. I used to have ways to, like, certain TV shows I'd watch or music I'd listen to, and sometimes it doesn't do it. You just have to wait for that inspiration, and when it comes, hit it. And then sometimes trying to push when you don't have it, trying to find any way through it. I'll go for a lot of walks. I like to walk a lot, so I'll go for a 1 or 2 or 3 hour walk and then come back with a lot of fresh ideas. And like, I have the framework for the sequel to this book out, but I don't have the actual writing done. So it's just kind of, building on what I have, and yeah, trying to go from there.
I love that. What do you need in your writing space to help you stay focused?
I like a fidget cube is always fun. It's helpful. It's something to distract. I'm a very, I fidget. I have, there's anxiety that comes into play, as I'm sure all writers have that feel. So things like that, just something I can fiddle with my hands, that always helps. And then put it down, type out, and then go from there. I really like the sound of typing. I don't like physically writing because I have terrible handwriting and I can't even read my own notes half the time. So the different sounds and things like that of writing. It sounds odd, but that's what I like.
Love that. What is your favorite writing snack or drink?
Graham crackers for Graham Crackery, definitely. Coffee, I like a good LaCroix. I buy probably a million a week, so I'm probably keeping them in business. I'll be devastated if they ever go out, or if something comes out bad about their product. I'll be devastated. But yeah, those two are usually my go-to.
Love that. What type of books do you personally enjoy reading?
It varies today, as an adult, and part of it too is it's so difficult trying to read with life being as crazy and hectic as it is, and social media as addicting as it is. If I want to read or write, I have to delete Instagram, I have to delete Candy Crush just to focus. But I really like reading. Sometimes political books. Sometimes I like reading really, really intense sci-fi stories. Anything detective, mystery. Parenting books are now a part of my life, which is really interesting. So that's always very helpful as well.
Love that. Are there any books or authors that inspired you to become a writer?
K.A. Applegate, who wrote the Animorphs series, is a huge inspiration to me. I loved her books growing up, and I just devoured all of them. I loved Louis Sackhar's books, Wayside Sideways Stories from Wayside School, and Holes. Holes I probably read a million times growing up, and then they made the movie, which they say the movie's never as good, but it's just fun. It's a fun story, and I think what's inspiring about them is, hey, Applegate's Animorphs was more mystery and sci-fi, and Louis Sackar was just pure absurdity. And I love absurdity. I think chaos is a part of everyday life, and if you can embrace absurdity, then you can kind of see the silliness of life around it, and then so those were big inspirations for me growing up.
Love that. What type of books did you grow up reading? Did you have an all-time favorite?
So obviously the books I mentioned, man, I probably Holes just because I read it so often. When I started getting really into reading in high school, I read Sphere by Michael Craig. So I would say that would be a huge book for me as well.
Love that. On the other side of that, now as an adult, what are your favorite series or authors that if they come out with something, you're going to automatically grab it?
Anything by Matthew Riley. He wrote the first book he wrote was called Contest, and it's just this sci-fi book where this guy gets transported into a library with a bunch of other aliens because of some contest that happens over a millennia, and it's just a really fun action adventure. And a lot of his stories are like that. They're just fun and enjoyable and intense, and they're really great. I like political books now. I like books by speech writers. Anything, writers have a lot of good wisdom to impart, so I just soak up as much of it as I can, and hopefully that plays out in my in my writing.
Love that. What would you tell someone just starting out with reading again?
Put the phone away. It's so difficult because you want to just check your text messages. We all have things that we have to check in on, and so it's so difficult to just find that time. I'd say either a quiet space if you need it, or lyricless music, lo-fi beats on Spotify, classical music, anything will kind of help fuel that inspiration, and really just stick with it. A lot of times you'll start a book and it's hard to get into it reading again. But if you can push through a lot of that, then there's so much rich material. And that feeling of you get to the end of a book and you close the last page and you go, oh, now what? That's such a wonderful feeling because you've just been taken on an emotional ride, and you can't get there if you don't read the books.
Love that. On the other side of that, what would you tell someone just starting to write their own book?
I mean, every writer will tell you it's an uphill slog. It's the impossible boulder to push uphill. But it's so, when you hold your book for the first time, it's so amazing to just go, I did that. I can't believe it. you're going to face so much doubt and embrace that too. Any negative feelings when it comes to writing, you have to just embrace it. Know that it's a part of the process and you'll get through it. I can't tell you how many times I stopped writing this book, how many times I put it away, how many times life got in the way. But ultimately, if that's your goal, if that's what you really believe is your destiny, then push through because the journey will take you there. And a lot of times life will get in the way and you can't write, but then you can use the life that got in the way to help, as an inspiration for the story. I think that's a lot of what I did too.
Love that. So amazing. What's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
Oh man, I'm more serious than I come off. I try to be, I have a thought in my head that I've had since 18, and that's always make three people laugh every day. I'm a very goofy guy, a kid at heart and all that jazz, but at the same time, I have a lot of sincerity in my humor, and I think maybe that sometimes gets lost, I would say.
Love that. Is there anything you would like to say or add?
Uh, I hope everybody reads the book. I hope anybody reads the book. Ultimately, I wrote the book for myself. I wanted to do it. I wanted to tell a fun story. And I hope that people enjoy that. I think, we all have interesting parts of our lives that we can share with one another. And if you can brighten somebody's day with a joke or a smile, there really is nothing better for both you and them. I had somebody tell me, a relative, people buy my book that know me so far. But somebody told me that after, a tough day at work, they'll go in their truck, read like a sentence or a paragraph or part of it that'll make them laugh because it's just goofy. You know what I mean? There's nothing big about it. It's not an important book. It's just something fun. And, then they go, I can get right back on my day. And I think that's a good lesson that we all feel is that laughter is just key. And if you can laugh through any part of your life, then you can get through any part of your life. And so, I hope people hear this, read the book, and enjoy the laughter of it.
Love that. Where's the best place for readers to find your book? Is signed copies an option and the best place to connect with you?
For sure. So grahamcrackery.godaddysites.com. I haven't quite graduated past the GoDaddy sites, but you can find that's where my site is now. A link to my hardcover and ebook, my other podcast appearances. This one will obviously make it as well when it's up. Any online bookstore will have it, and absolutely signed copy is an availability. I use Ingram Spark as my print on demand site. So if you want to get a book and you want it signed, I can have it signed as I send out. So you'd have to order that through me. But other than that, yeah, absolutely.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. We're so grateful we got to interview you. We'll be sure to drop those links in the show notes. That way everyone can find you. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it and have a great day.